Now to kind of show you. So I'm gonna go key on. All right, I hope that video got your attention. Let me show you how we got to that step. And I'm gonna give you a disclaimer before we even start. This is gonna be some hack shit. If you're absolutely prissy and you know you don't like doing some hack shit, you should probably stop the video now and just go to somebody else's video. But if you're a cheapskate like me, let me show you how we got here. First things first is the actual monitor. I'm gonna put a link in the description to everything that we got on here, so that way you can have to ask me in the comments what the hell we used. This is just a regular, I believe 12 by 3.5 monitor. The size you buy is going to be dependent on how big of a display you can actually get into your instrument cluster. Older GMs are typically rectangle-ish, and I was pretty much limited to this. I highly suggest you take everything out and take the speedometer out and measure what you really have, because I thought I only had a 3.5 inch, and it turns out I can get 4 inches in there, and it worked out pretty good. So let me kind of show you what's really going on this side. The next on the list, we're going to leapfrog some of the stuff. I'm explaining why we're using it later on. The next on the list is an old phone. This is just a Note 4 from basically 4 phone carriers ago. It was sitting in a drawer. I tested a lot of devices. We have a lot of phones actually left over from older companies that we just not no longer with. This is nothing special. This is not activated. This is not on a plan. This is on nothing. This is just a device. It can connect to Wi-Fi. This is also not rooted. That's very important. To get video out of one of these old devices, we're going to use an old MHL. I know some of the younger kids have no idea what the hell this is, but this is how we got video out of a phone. It basically connects to the USB and has an HDMI on one end that goes to the monitor. The other end gets to go to a power supply, and basically it just works. The issue on the older devices is usually without being rooted and updating the kernel and all that stuff, it has a hard time feeding power into the phone and giving video out. And basically the phone end up runs dead. Like back in the day, you could only watch maybe one movie on this and your phone would be dead. To solve that problem, we're going to externally charge the battery via pigtails with an external charger. This is the hack part right here that a lot of people, you might not like this step, but this is what I had to do to solve it. And we have a lot of newer devices in the drawer. We have a Note 8. The newer device, you end up running into some of the problems with the Google ecosystem and the rules and stuff like that. So you'll solve the charging problem, but you'll come up with a new problem with programming. So you got to kind of take the good with the bad and decide on which route you want to go. The external battery charger, I chose this model because I needed a 110 outlet in this car. This is going to be just for my tuning purposes alone for the laptop. And when it comes to tuning, a dead laptop is a dead car, basically. You may not need this. I needed this, and I chose this charger, which is a 110 charger. See, I've already modified it. It's a 110 charger, basically, that's going to plug into this, and that's what's going to charge our battery. They do make a 12-volt version of this. If you want to skip this whole step, this whole shenanigans that I'm doing, that's totally fine. So we're going to do a dual USB charger. This is going to turn a couple devices on. It's going to turn the phone on, and it's going to turn the display on when we turn the key for it, basically. There's another device you might spot it right here. This is a power continuance device. This is fully programmable. What I want to happen is when I turn the key forward and then when I turn the key off, I basically want this to stay on for 1 hour. So that way if I'm doing tuning, I don't instantly lose power. And coincidentally, it's also going to be hooked up to this and it's going to keep charging the battery for an hour, which is also not a bad thing. Our car is not a daily driver. It basically is going to sit for weeks on end. So if I come to the car and I haven't driven it for a week, I'll be able to come in there and turn the ignition forward for 2 seconds, turn it off. It'll wake this device up, which will wake this charger up, and it'll instantly start recharging the battery. We don't want this phone to ever go dead. It's going to always stay on. It's going to always stay in dim mode, and it's going to be tucked away in the glove box. You'll never even know it's there. One thing that you are going to have to buy as well is a simple OBD2 327 adapter. I actually have several of these devices. Actually, I'm gonna kind of pan around. Obviously we got HP tuners and we got a million of these things. We're not gonna focus on too much on the mounting on this because you're gonna be limited to whatever vehicle you're actually modifying. I'm hoping there's enough meat and potatoes in here to make this work for yourself. If you have a Nova, that's gonna, by all means, that's gonna be great. But this is not gonna be Nova specific. This is gonna be able to unplug and basically go into any car that you want it if it had a display into it, basically. So as long as you're running the OBD2 system or the CAN bus system, this is gonna pretty much work. It doesn't matter the maker, model, or anything like that. It just has to be OBD2, basically, at the end of the day. So that's enough rambling. If you're still with me, let's get right to it and let's start taking the dash apart. As you can see, this isn't even clean. And we're gonna take off the actual speedometer. There's our speedometer coming out. Just knowing off in advance, we're probably gonna rescue our fuel gauge out of ours because it's actually pretty much removable. And we're gonna have a mechanical fuel gauge still because our display doesn't go all the way pretty much left to right. We're gonna center our display up the best we can. And we're gonna end up with a gap here and a gap here. Our glass is kind of hazy, so we're gonna put a new glass in with ours too. A screwdriver, I'm gonna actually take the heater controls off. You may or may not have to do this depending on what you're working on. This is kind of in a way and I don't want it to slap me in the lip. Where we're not doing any modification to the actual console itself. If we want to return back to stock, all our mounting points will be exactly the same. We'll be able to put our fuel gauge right back in this cluster and hook speedometer cable to this thing and return it right back to stock. And the least amount of modifications you can do, the better. This is really filthy. I'm actually going to pause this video. I'm going to clean this thing off so that way we'll start with a nice clean base. All right, we got our console all cleaned up. We're going to skip this for off-camera stuff when we put the actual fuel gauge in. So I'm just going to get this all off to the side. Let's open the actual monitor. So you have your display. And it's actually a nice display. On the right-hand side, you have HDMI 1, HDMI 2, headphone jack, power in, and I believe another power in if you wanted a 3.5 millimeter in. The opposite side has power, input select switch, as well as on-screen display modes, brightness, format, PAL, NTSC, audio on and off and all this stuff. It has speakers built in this too. We're not going to use any of those features. I was actually contemplating not actually putting the lens back on there and just have it raw screen. They have two versions of this monitor. One's a touch screen and one's a non-touch screen. We got the non-touch screen version. I didn't want to be touching all on it. I have to clean it. We're going to probably fab up some bars. I'm going to spend too much time on mounting because remember, this is vehicle specific for me and not necessarily going to go with yours. To cover our gaps, we just have some basic ABS plastic and we're just going to cut it and fill in our gaps on both sides. For now, for the purpose of this video, we're just going to probably cover it up with tape or something like that because I want to keep this video moving. Let's put our new lens in. And for the sake of the video, we're just going to use some masking tape to kind of hold things in place for us. So there's a lot to unpack with the Android phone, and I don't want to spend too much time mounting a display panel that may not apply to your application to begin with. If you have a Nova, hit me down in the comments and I'll show you what I did. I'll take some pictures and maybe I'll host them up on the GitHub or something like that. So this is sketch, and this is not how it's going to permanently look, guys. I just want to do it for the video, keep the video moving. So we're just going to tape this on here like that. So I kind of gave the disclaimer in the beginning of the video. We're basically showing you proof of concept versus an actual install. Remember, it's a proof of concept, guys. Don't laugh at my tape. Don't laugh at it. All right, that's about good enough for me. Remember, this is going to be covering the gaps, and it's going to have a gauge squizzing on one side or the other. So for now, we're just going to use some black masking tape or something like that to cover that up, to make it look nice and pretty, at least for the people who are going to be, oh, you didn't even mount it, and all that stuff. So let me find some black tape, and we're going to keep the video moving. All right, we have our panel taped in place. It looks kind of terrible, but we're going to clean it all up. As you can see, I don't know if the camera can even pick that up. We still have the lens and stuff, still the plastic on the screen and everything. So we're 100% taking it out. Like I said, just holding it in place, guys. Don't have a cow about it. One thing I forgot to mention, the inputs on the screen itself are mini HDMI. They're not standard size HDMI. It does come with the HDMI cable, but I didn't like it, so I got mini HDMI to female HDMI on the outside. So we're gonna plug that in place. It does come with the USB power cable, and this is the cord it comes with, which is a mini HDMI to male in. This didn't work for what we were trying to do. We have to buy a barrel connector. It was easier just to get the adapter. The good thing about this display, it has auto power on and auto power off if it doesn't detect a signal. So there's no worry about leaving it on and off. We're gonna have ours on a switch anyway, but that's a good feature to have if you wanted to permanently wire this thing in. Temporarily give this some USB power and you're gonna see it light up. And there you go. This is going to be the no signal screen, and at this point it's going to power off in like 5 seconds if it doesn't get a signal. So we're clear to proceed now at this point. Let's go over the apps that you're going to need to get things to go the way you want them to go. The first app you're going to be using is the app called Llama. The Llama app is going to pretty much be doing all your automation. There are a bunch of new players into the game as far as automation on Android. Llama is actually a new company called Automation, and there's another app called Tasker. Both are good apps, but the learning curve is really, really, really hard to do. So I opted to find the very, very old version of Llama that works on 6.0 Android the best. This is unavailable on the Play Store. I'm not recommending you sell the C's.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I won't be able to put a link into the description where I got this from, but I am going to actually show you where it came from. I just can't do a link. If you do a Google search, I would search this website, apkpure.net, and search for the Llama app. And the version we're running is 1.24.10.23.0945. There is no data on this phone from me personally. I created a fake Gmail address. I created everything fake. There's no contacts in here. We're never going to use this phone to have banking information or anything like that on it. I highly recommend you guys don't do that, because this phone will be permanently in your car at all times, and Lord forbid if something happened to it, or Lord forbid one of these sketchy apps we're installing does something to the data. So I highly recommend you guys create a fake Gmail address, and that way you can install all the sketchy shit you want to install, because Lord knows I am. So now that you got Llama installed, next we're going to download some apps real fast, because we're going to kind of do it once and once a time only. The next app, if you guys want the custom video thing where you can put a video file at the beginning, that Chevy logo you guys saw, that's a just a custom GIF that I converted to MP4 on this very phone to start up every time we start the car up. In order to get that to play, we're going to download an app called VLC. By the way, you're going to get this directly from the Play Store. No special apps or hack versions are needed for VLC. The next app you're going to get is called Torque. You can get that also directly from the Play Store. No special versions are definitely needed. Another app you guys can use instead of for Torque to reach your gauges is Real Dash. Real Dash has a lot more different layouts. It's a little more power hungry, so you'll definitely have to do something like this to kind of get your battery, keep it juiced up as much as you can. And it's up to you. You could also get that from the Play Store. So we're going to get this installed. I already have this installed. I want to uninstall it and all that good stuff. So you're going to get it installed. And there's going to be some things you're going to turn on and turn off when you first install it. Now that you got your apps installed, let's set some things up beforehand to get them function how we want them to function, basically. So first, let's go to the Torque app. And basically, the first thing you have to do is probably go to the vehicle and get the Bluetooth device, the M327, connected to the phone. This is really simple to do. You just plug it in. You'll see it broadcasting in your Bluetooth list. You connect to it, and at that point, you come to Torque and you basically tell it you have a 327 device. And that's really simple. When we launch Torque, we don't want it to come to this screen. We want it to actually go to the gauge screen, basically. So the good thing about Torque is we can tell it to do that automatically every time we launch Torque. So the first time you launch it, it won't be set up. So you go to Settings. You're going to go to General Preference and Startup and Dashboard. Always go to Dashboard. So now when it launches, it's going to go to that dashboard screen every time. There's another setting inside of Torque that makes me love it a lot is you can select a different theme. I'm going to have my brightness button hidden where I can't get to it. Inside of Torque, you can actually use a different theme at night. That's going to be really useful for me. At night, I'll probably have a separate dark theme to kind of dim things down a little bit so it doesn't blind me. That's kind of a useful feature, just to kind of show you guys something extra. So right now we have our startup and dashboard. Always go to dashboard, basically. And we're going to back out of this because we don't need it anymore. We're going to shut it down because we don't need it. Inside of VLC, when you set up VLC, if you guys have trouble with this app, let me know. I do know I did have to play the video file once, and it's short. It's only 6 seconds. I'm going to pause it. I did have to kind of touch this to make it fit the screen on the dash a little bit. And I believe I might have had it at 16:9 or something like that. I'm not even sure. We'll see when I get back in there what it was. So if you do that prior, you don't have to try to do that while it's running the Llama sequence and all that good stuff. But that's the easy stuff. Now let's get to the hard stuff. This is going to be a chore. So we're going to leave VLC running in the background. Actually, we can shut everything down if you need to. So that shuts everything down. Let's get to the Llama app. This is where things get hard. When you first launch this, there's going to be some things turned on in the settings. You can turn them all off. But there's also going to be a list of events here. I've already cleared them out. Basically, you're going to press on all the stock events. You're going to hold on to them, and then you're going to delete them all because you're not going to use any of them. We're going to create all our events from scratch. The first event we're going to create is what to do when we turn the key on and voltage comes up through the USB. That's basically going to be telling our apps and our videos and all our stuff to launch our Torque app. This is what it's going to be based off. Voltage coming in and voltage coming out, basically. So the first thing we're going to do is, I'm going to go ahead and do that again. There's a small plus down here, and it brings this list up. The next thing you're going to do is name this event. We're going to call it, let's call it vehicle startup. So that way we always know what this is. And then you're going to click OK. Now, the next thing you're going to do is go to advanced, and we're going to delay it 2 seconds. I'm going to hit delay event, and we're going to delay it 2 seconds. Now, what we're doing is we're giving, our screen is going to be disconnected from power on key off. And when we go key on, there's actually the logo brand that pops up on here first. We want the Llama app to hold the horses, so to speak, and give things a chance to get off the screen so before you start showing other stuff. So we're going to delay it 2 seconds. And this may be 3 seconds or 4 seconds, depending on what monitor you get, what brand you get, if that screen is even on your brand, or the phone is fast. So you may need this, you may not need it. You're gonna know if you need it or not, or it might not even bother if you don't do it or not. So we're gonna put 2 seconds on ours because that's what we know works. And we're gonna hit back. Oh, we hit back. Yeah, we hit back. Now we're gonna hit add condition. We're gonna scroll down, and you're gonna see charging or unplugged. So basically, when we charge from USB-C, that's telling the Llama app to get things going. Something's changed. In our case, restart the car up, basically. Now the next thing we're going to do is, once it sees we're charging from USB-C, now we got to tell it what to do. So we're going to add action. And we're going to queue another event. This gives us a chance to add another delay in addition to the other delay that we've already had it. So we're going to add a delay of 6 seconds. But that's about how long that video was. And then inside of this delay list, we're going to hit add action again. And we're going to do Android intent. And this is where all the testing and stuff went on for the last couple of weeks. Now, the good thing is I'm going to put all this stuff into the description, and you're going to be able to just copy and paste this stuff into these fields. You don't have to figure anything out. The one thing you do have to figure out, I'm going to hit this home button. I'm going to show you something. You are going to have to figure out the name of your video file. Go to your gallery, go to wherever that file is at. That particular file is in our movie file. Select it and hit the 3 dots, hit more info, and right there is the name of the file this is where the file is residing in the phone. /storage /emulated /0 movies /Chevy1.mp4. You have to get that exactly right. You can't misspell it. You can't add an extra slash or anything like that because it won't work. But I had already typed all this stuff. We did a dry run on this for days. So I'm going to go in here and we're going to copy and paste some things. And I'm going to show you. Remember, you're going to be doing the same thing. If you got the VLC up, you're going to be doing the same thing. The first thing we're going to copy and paste is org.videolan.VLC. So we're going to copy that. You're going to be copying it directly off the description. And you're going to paste that into package name. This is telling the app what player to use. The next thing we're going to do is you're going to copy the android.intent.action.VIEW. And you're going to paste that in action. This is telling it what to do when you open that file. And now we're going to tell it what file to play. Now, you might notice right at the beginning, for Android language, we couldn't just say /storage emulator like we saw in the listing. You have to put file // then the original // so you end up with 3 / at the beginning. That's what lets the Android language know what to play. So we're going to drag all of that. We're going to get it all. And you're going to be doing the exact same thing from out of the description. So we hit copy. And then I'm going to go back to Llama. And I'm going to put that in data. And at that point, we're telling it to, when it sees USB charge, open this app. When you get to that app, play this file. And voila, basically. So if you want, we can pause and we can actually test to see does this work. So the good thing is, you're also going to have to name this event. I forgot about that part. Let's do that first. Before we test the action, let's name this event. And this is the queued event that we're going to slow down. We're going to call it delay VLC, not G, but C. Just like that. And then we can hit back. So basically, we're in the main list now. Vehicle startup, charging from USB-C. If it sees that, it thinks we start, it knows we started the car up. Wait for 6 more seconds and then run that video file that we're telling. Let's test that out. It told me it was a file name that already. It played it, but why did it tell me it was a file name that? So we're going to name it Delay VLC Chevy. So now let's test that out. Remember, it's going to wait 6 seconds. So you hit test one time. And that's our file playing. And whatever you name it, whatever you're going to put there, that's what it's going to play. There's no in between about it. You just got to make sure you spell everything right. All right. So now after that plays, we're going to tell it to open up the torque app. So now we're going to hit add action again. We're going to queue another event. And we're going to delay this one a few seconds too. We're going to delay this one about 7, 8. We're going to put 9 seconds on this one. And then inside of that, we're going to call this one, let's call it torque delay. We're going to misspell it on purpose to give me a new name. And then we're going to hit add action. And then this time we're going to go to run application, if I can find it. And then we're going to scroll this all the way down. And then we're going to hit torque. And we're going to hit back. And now we're back in the vehicle startup list where we're creating everything in order. So again, we're going to delay for 2 seconds initially to give the screen a chance to get through its own logo. Wait for 6 seconds. It's going to run our video Chevy logo. And 9 seconds after that, from the initial start, which is really 3 seconds after your other one, basically, is going to run the torque app. So we can test all this without actually plugging anything in. So let's give it a test. And there we go. Now we're going to add some more things in here too, because we don't want this screen just bright and going off in the glove box. So this will really help the battery out too. We can dim the screen a little bit. So let's add an action. And then let's kind of scroll this down. Let's see what we got in here. Screen brightness, let's turn it down to 1%. And not all, it's telling you a warning. If you guys don't know what to put this at, start off at like 5% and then work your way back to 2 and 3 or whatever, just in case it doesn't work. I know 1% works, and that's going to be an error for us. So basically, this is going to, you can't turn the screen off. We can turn the brightness down. All right, so let's test this action to see what happens. And instantly turn that screen off. Now, I don't know if you guys can see what's happening. That's their Chevy logo. And after that's going to be our torque app. Now, on the actual screen, this is going to be full brightness still. And this was a successful test. So we're actually going to back out of this. I know you guys can't see a thing. And I'm going to turn it back bright so you can kind of see what's happening. So, but now we need to tell the app what to do when we are not on power and we're on battery and we cut the car off. And basically we have to tell the app to go back to the home screen. The good thing is you guys are going to be copying and pasting again. You don't have to type up none of this stuff out if you don't need to. So we're going to go to plus. We're going to add a new event. And we can call it vehicle cut off. Name I've already typed because I can tell it right now it doesn't like it. And add condition. Damn it. So we're going to add condition. And we're going to go scroll down to charging or unplug. And we're going to say using battery. And that's going to be Llama's way of detecting when we cut the car off, it's on battery, and start doing the shutdown sequence on things on the phone. Add action. And we're going to go down to queue another event again. And then we're going to call this home delay. I don't think I've used that. And we're going to delay this one for 3 seconds. We can, boring. So we're going to add action. We're going to hit Android intent. Now I'm going to come over here into my makeshift notepad. And like I said, you guys don't have to worry about any of this, but I will say what it is. It's android.intent.action.MAIN. And we're going to paste this in action on here. And then in categories, we're going to paste, not that, android.intent.category.HOME. So basically what we're telling the phone to do is when you go on battery, no matter what's happening, go back to the home screen, which is going to be great for us. That eliminates a bug that happens later on. So we're going to hit OK, and then we're going to hit back. Inside of here, we're also going to shut down the torque app because we don't need that running. So we're going to hit, I scroll too far. We're going to hit kill application. Let's give you a toast message about something. And then we're going to hit the torque app. We got to scroll pretty far for this one. Nope, might have passed it. The VLC app, we're not going to shut that down. We're going to leave that running. Because it pretty much stops on its own, basically. And then we're going to go there. Now we can actually test this for once if we really don't need to. And that should be it. At this point, we're going to plug up directly into USB, and we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to kind of hold it right here. I'm actually going to get out of this because I don't think I need any of that stuff running. I'm going to shut all the stuff down anyway. Not too bad, right? All right, I did a lot of wiring off camera, and I kind of want to show you guys the wiring just in case you guys are trying to replicate this system exactly how I have it. Remember, you might not necessarily need a 110 outlet, and you might not necessarily need a charger helping on the backside charge the battery. There are ways around this. If your car doesn't sit that long and you have a removable battery in your phone, you can throw an extended battery here. Even for this old Note 4, they actually still make batteries for this phone. So if you want to throw an extended battery here with about triple the life that the standard thin battery has, that can eliminate this and this, especially if you don't need the 110 to begin with. So if you don't want to do the sketch wiring on this, you could totally eliminate that. Eliminating this part also eliminates this. Monetarily, there's not enough value in any of this stuff, so I didn't really spend that much money on it or anything like that. So if you want to eliminate this wiring, you totally can. One wiring that you will not be able to eliminate is the lighter adapter with the USBs on the end, because you need 12 volts to hit this to turn everything on. So that's going to stay. But everybody who's going to replicate this whole system, let me explain the whole wiring deal to you. The whole system has 3 wires. Think of it like an amplifier for a car, basically. So you'll have a permanent power, 12 volt, a permanent ground, and then you will have a switch wire, well, remote wire, basically for an amp, but a switch 12 volt wire. The entire system pivots right off of this, got it trapped under there, pivots right off this switch wire right here. And I tried to make the color coded right so you guys can follow this the best you can. So my positive wire is going to come in. It's going to feed the second terminal right here. And according to the wiring diagram, we also have to feed this middle terminal right here with 12 volt power too. And that's the only way this functions. Remember, this is a relay at the end of the day, not an input-out device. So the other side of the relay needs power on it. The switch wire is going to feed this top terminal right here. And it's also going to feed our lighter adapter. So when we connect switch 12 volt, it triggers this to turn on. We're going to set this up too. It's going to trigger this to turn on. And it's going to trigger the USB lighter to get power, which turns our display and our phone on. The switch wire on this side is basically doing a startup sequence for this. And I have this in play. So basically when I start the car up, this sends 12 volts out to the inverter. And when the 12 volt turns off, a countdown timer starts and it leaves 12 volts going to it for any predetermined amount of time. Right now I have it set for 20 seconds just to show you guys how it works. And I can set this for anything. I probably set it for an hour or maybe even an hour and a half, depending on how great the battery is in the Nova. Without further ado, I'm going to give you guys a programming quick tutorial on how to program this thing. This does about 8 or 9 different modes, but in the description, I'm going to put a video on here of another guy does a one-to-one tutorial on how this operates. And it turns out mode 7, program 7 is the one I needed, where when we go ignition on, it pumps out voltage and the countdown timer is just sitting there waiting for the ignition to go off. It's on a falling edge. So as soon as that switch turns off, the car turns off, this predetermined amount of time is still going to pump out voltage to the inverter. So to get the programming is just, you basically just hit set. Also, when you first plug this up, this thing is bright blue. And the good thing is it times out, the backlight times out after about 4 or 5 minutes. And I'm probably going to get a 3D case printer for this. I might look for some cases online because I don't want this thing kind of bouncing around. I don't want to tape it up either. So I'll probably get a 3D case and put this in a case or something like that. Make it look nice and neat and tuck it up in the firewall somewhere. But to actually do your actual programming, you're going to press, and we're going to do the 7. I'm not going to explain this whole thing. I want you guys to watch the video on that. You're going to press and hold set. And I don't know if you saw the set right there lit up. And to cycle through the programming modes, you basically press up or down, basically. And to set the time, I'm going to try to hold this the best I can. I hope I'm moving too much on you guys. You press set again, and then the time starts flashing. Now, right now, it's set for 21 seconds, 22 seconds. And this thing can go all the way up to 999 minutes. To get to minute mode, you're going to press the stop button. And you see that decimal that popped in there? So that means 2 seconds. That means 0.2 seconds. And that means 2 minutes. 3 dots with the numerical values means minutes. So you get a lot of control in here on what you want to do, basically. So, all right, so I got this dash just thrown in here. It's not even mounted down. It's still crooked. We got tape. It's dusty. We're just going to light this thing off and we're going to see what it's going to do. I really enjoyed making this video for you guys. I love gadgets, I love wirings, but we're going to discuss some cons of the system. One con that I know of is the resolution speed is a little slow going through Bluetooth, meaning it's about a third of, maybe even half a second behind versus what's actually happening. So if you hit the gas and the tach rises up, it's a little delayed versus having a true mechanical gauge connected to the engine or something like that. If you have no gauges, this is absolutely small fries to deal with. It wouldn't even bother you, not even the least bit. The wow factor of having a screen in the car is worth it for me. The battery charging thing is another con. A lot of people aren't going to want to do that. For the people who don't want to do that step, I recommend just getting an extended battery. Well, basically starting off with a phone that has a removable battery, then buying the biggest extended battery that you can find. And it's probably much safer to begin with. So, as promised, I'm going to end the video with some thumbnails and the prices of both apps on there and where it's from. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.